Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. The next trolley stop is here, and the next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to the holiday season here at Empowered Publicity and the Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, we have reached the 135th trolley stop. That is episode number 135, Children's Book Spotlight Series. My name is John Massalonis, the manager here at Empowered Publicity. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, wherever you are, wherever you may be. We hope that you and your loved ones had a blessed Thanksgiving as we now look ahead to the final month of 2021. Where has this year gone? But it is one of the most joyous seasons of the year, whether you are celebrating Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or Christmas or everything all wrapped up into one. We are looking forward to the final month of 2021 here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And I think it's very apropos that this is the holiday season because it is one of the most joyous times of the year, but it can also bring up a lot of emotions, including fears and anxieties, whether it be, can I get the perfect gift? Can I afford the perfect gift for the loved one in my life? Or maybe if you have a loved one that is going through a health challenge, you could even just get caught in the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. It's very easy to be able to do that. And I think it's really important, especially with us being parents, caregivers, and custodians of our little ones. Our little ones, our children, can experience fear during the holidays. But again, it's up to us to be able to remind them that they have the abilities within them to be able to overcome their fears. It's interesting, and we're going to be talking about this more with our featured guest here this week on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Growing up, I actually had a fear of the dark myself. And we're going to be kind of mentioning the fact that if you or a little one or someone in your life has some sort of a fear, whether it be a fear of the dark or something related to that, that you really have it within you to be able to move through and overcome any fear, any challenge, any anxiety that you may have. And we're also going to be talking this week about a very similar theme that we've continued on over the past 3+ years here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And that is the importance of our grandparents. We have taken the connection that we had with our grandmothers and grandfathers for granted for a long period of time, especially during COVID. And it's such a joy to be able to see grandchildren, little ones being able to reconnect with their grandmothers and their grandfathers in the process. So leave it to not only one, but two brand new children's books to help us to talk about all of these sorts of feelings and emotions and experiences with our little ones in the process. We are super excited here this week on the Children's Book Spotlight Series to dive into the pages of the two newest children's books from our featured guest, Svetchnikov. You can head on over to her official website, positiveparentinginitiative.com. You can also head on over to Amazon.com. If that is your preferred online vehicle of choice, you can purchase your copy of The Fearless One and Always Together, in addition to the dozens, that is correct, dozens of other award-winning children's books for both children and parents from, again, our featured guest joining us as the trolley heads cross-country from San Diego all the way over to Florida. Licensed family therapist, award-winning children's author Svetchnikov is joining us here as part of our holiday season celebration at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Anna, we really appreciate your free time. Thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood today. How are you?
Thank you for having me here. I'm doing well.
I've been really excited to talk about these two books. It has been such a joy to be able to share your work with children, parents, families, and educators over the course of these past several months. And of course, before we begin officially our trolley stop, if this message is inspiring you, if it's bringing love and joy into your heart, if you're saying, John, Anna, you know what? I've been moving through some fears myself, and I'm wondering if I can overcome them, or my little one is moving through this sort of a fear, or wants to be able to connect further with their grandparents. If this message is lifting your spirits, opening your heart, we encourage you, if you haven't had the opportunities to do so, to subscribe to Empowered Publicity's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop. That is episode number 135 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And I love your work on so many levels because you have little ones of your own in your work as a licensed family and marriage therapist. You are sharing so many important messages for children, even beyond the scope of these messages. Before we talk about Always Together, before we talk about The Fearless One, one of the things that we always like to do at the very beginning of our Children's Book Spotlight Series is to have our featured guests share their origin story. For some authors, it's a matter of, at a very early age that you came here to do work for the children. For some authors, it's maybe an experience or a series of experiences over a span of time that is helping them to remember, hey, I'm here to do this work for the children. For those of our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors who are learning about your work for the first time, could you let us know really what inspired you to step into this work for the children, especially as a family therapist and an award-winning children's author?
So I've been working with children for a number of years, and I work with adults, I work with elderly, but I really like children. I feel like they are the underserved population, and they really need that special person to connect with them. Because you can have an adult coming into the therapy room and you can have a conversation, but with child you need to be more creative. You really need to get on their level and really find that approach that resonates with them. So that's why I decided that this is my challenge and this is something I want to do and something I really love to do. I really like to help little ones, and as a mother of 3 boys myself, I see how challenging it can be to be a parent, and how difficult it is sometimes with kids, and really find that key to their hearts. And this is what I want to help little ones to really find their voice and really know what to do with their feelings, how to cope and how to be a successful adult, and for the parents to really know how to approach their kids.
I really appreciate you sharing that specifically, because I think in many ways it's very easy for us as adults to dismiss our emotions and feelings. Oh, they're just our emotions and our feelings. And a lot of times we may not necessarily be aware of the fact if we're suppressing an emotion or if we're not connecting to a specific emotion. In terms of us as adults, as being role models for our children, why do you feel, just from the simple nature of connecting with our emotions and feelings, why do you feel that it's important for us to be able to do that for ourselves, as well as for the children that we take care of in our lives, especially right now?
Well, as adults, we need to have that emotional regulation ourselves. And sometimes it's difficult. And I see a lot of adults who simply don't know what to do with their feelings. They never learned it, and they don't know how to respond to the stressors. So children, they always model our behavior. They're always watching, and they always want to be just like their parents. And they don't understand how come if I yell and I get in trouble when my mom shows me that when she's stressed, yelling is okay. So this is for moms. I teach them to self-regulate and then co-regulate with their children.
I think that that's really important on so many levels, because one of the things that I really believe in is that children's minds and hearts are like sponges. So they see us doing something, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to emulate that. Things have been changing. Our children have been changing. Their dynamic have been changing over the course of these past several years. I think especially with the pandemic, and this is something if you can speak about specifically in your work before we talk a little bit more about your books, is that before the pandemic, children had their own things that they were navigating through. They had their own emotions, feelings, fears. And then when you bring in the pandemic, it's a matter of for close to 2 years now, in certain respects, maybe, things are obviously starting to get a little bit better across the country, which is a wonderful blessing. But children went from being in school, being with their friends, to being at home, to being homeschooled, doing virtual learning, distance learning, online learning. They went from being able to go to baseball games, football games, amusement parks, spending time with their friends, to more or less just spending time with their immediate family. So in the process, there were these additional emotions, feelings, challenges. Could you talk to us specifically about the changes that you've experienced, how you have had to adapt on your end of things in your work as a licensed family therapist, as well as speaking to your own life as well, too, in terms of how you had to learn to successfully pivot and navigate the changes and the heightened emotions that your little ones were experiencing during the pandemic. If you could share that with us, if you could.
Absolutely. So pandemic was not easy for anyone. And when, everything closed down and everyone had to use Zoom or other platforms for telehealth, it was different. Everyone had adapt, and especially the little ones. I would like to say there are definitely resilient ones, but in the start of the pandemic, I saw a lot of anxiety. I saw a lot of fears. And in many cases, they were not expressed, but more as behaviors with kids and parents like, I don't know what to do. My child is behavioral, they're hitting, they're screaming. I don't know what to do. But this is where kids, they know how to adapt, they know what to do and how to express those emotions. So for me, as a licensed marriage and family therapist, I saw a lot of kids over Zoom, and I really had to engage them. So I was like, okay, what should I do? This is important, and I really want these kids to take something away, to learn and really improve, their mental health. But what can I do in telehealth? So that's why I decided to, come up with those exercises, those books, which we used in our sessions, and kids loved it. My first series was awesome team. So and I had my kids at home and my mom. I was like, okay, so maybe there will be those, the superheroes who fight the bad guys, and maybe the bad guy will be the coronavirus. I called her coronavirus. It's the coronavirus. My mom's name is Vera. So I gave her name coronavirus. I wanted to be playful. I wanted to be, I wanted to be something interesting and engaging and something that kids can do. So it's not just the hygiene that they need to do, social distancing, but also if they have any anxieties, any fears, worries, they're able to voice them and face them and overcome them. So, and then as I was going through the pandemic, I saw a lot of positive feedback from the books and from the exercises. So I was inspired to do more. That's why I have all these books published in a short period of time.
And I find that fascinating because in many respects, I think this is maybe a fear-based response. When the pandemic began, many people were wondering and going into fear mode. Am I going to have my job? Or, are we going to lose our residence, or things of that nature? It takes a very brave soul to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to take the fears, the anxieties, the challenges, and you began writing. And you poured your heart out with all of these wonderful messages. And I think that one of the ways that your work stands out because there's a lot of children's books, there's a lot of children's authors, and they all serve their purpose. You truly, and actually, I'm going to share this from your website because I think it's absolutely, it's so touching. It is impossible to overestimate the influence of parents who understand the hearts of their children. And that's a very important gift that you have, Anna, to be able to not just write these books and try to, better the lives of kids, but you're really connecting with them on their level. You're understanding what's in their mind, what's in their heart. Could you speak to us a little bit about that? Because it's very easy to also, see a little one outside and just think that they're less than us, or they're not as smart as us, where really they are our equals. They are our peers. Why do you feel, not even just for parents or for grandparents, but anyone who has a little one in their life, if they're a teacher, grandparent, godmother, godfather, whatever, why do you feel that it's needed for us to be able to connect with children on their level, to truly understand what's in their minds and their hearts?
Well, that's the easiest way to help them, and also help yourself. Because when I have the little guys coming into my office, I always want to get physically. First, I want to physically get on their level. So I like to use the bean bags. I like to sit on the floor and really look into their eyes instead of from, up in down. So it's important. So they know they're here with you and they're in this, session, reading a book, you are on the same level. So the next thing is you really need to know what they're interested in. So when I connect with kids, I ask them, so what do you like? What do you do? And when they say something, I never assume. I ask them to explain, because when something means to them, maybe I think of something different. I don't want to make assumption. I don't want to set certain expectations when they're not meeting their expectations. So I really want to hear from them what it is. When they say like, well, I want to be good, I really want to hear what is good to them, because maybe good to me is something different than to them. And then the third thing, I always ask them to teach me something. Kids love teaching, and they feel really, really good when they're able to share certain stories with you. And when I tell them like, listen, I learned a lot from you. Thank you. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for telling me how to make slime. Thank you for telling me more about the superheroes that you're really into. I learned something today. They really, able to open up and make that connection. And that's the start to really improve the relationship, teach them something, work on the feelings, anything you want.
That really is the beginning, the foundation of how we can continue to interact with our children on a healthy, more empowering level. So thank you very much for sharing that. Again, for those of you who are joining us, we appreciate you spending some free time with us here on episode number 134 of the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series. Joining us as our featured guest here this week on the program is award-winning children's author and licensed family marriage therapist, Anna Svetchnikov. We encourage you to head on over to her official website, positiveparentinginitiative.com. You can also head on over to amazon.com. You can purchase your copies of The Fearless One and Always Together, in addition to the dozens of other award-winning children's books that Anna has written over these past several years for children and for parents. You can also leave 5-star reviews for Always Together and The Fearless One, which are one of the many ways that you can support Anna to remind her that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books. Speaking about the writing component, it's very easy when you're starting off becoming a children's author, and it can be a little bit of a challenge just to get that first book out, right? It can be a lot of blood, sweat, tears, as the expression goes. But in a relatively short period of time, you have written the number of books that, an author may write over 5 years or 10 years. And I find that incredible. When you first began the writing process, putting out your first book, your second book, we always like to be able to connect with our vulnerability here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. So sometimes, again, if you're writing something, or even if you're just doing something new for the first time, you're starting a new job, you're becoming a parent for the first time, you're starting your own business, you could have fears, insecurities, doubts, anxieties. Were there any challenges that you experienced early on in terms of, writing the first couple of books and throughout the process? And if so, what were some of those challenges? What were some of the things that helped you to move through to the other side of those challenges?
Absolutely. So I started publishing in 2020, but I've been writing for a number of years. So I was putting those essays and just sometimes thoughts. I like to use my Gmail account and put some documents there and just save it there. I had it there for years. So why I decided starting writing those books and became The Fearless One, actually, because I saw that it's needed and it's helping kids and they really like it. So when I start sharing, my work with my kids, with my clients, when I start, coming up with different exercises for them to use in session, and they loved it, and they wanted to make their own book, they wanted to create their own story, I was like, okay, it's really helping. I really should go with that. And I pulled all my notes, all my essays, and I just, one month with, creating all the stories and all the things that I wanted to do, but I was a little not sure if I should go for it, if it's good enough, if I should even spend time on this.
The care, I feel that whenever we do something in life, whether if let's say you have, your husband cook you a beautiful dinner and that he puts love and care into something. If you have a family member, your mother Vera, takes the time to, make you something very special. You can sense, within your heart, within your soul, if someone spends a lot of care and time on something. When I've had the opportunities to read all of your children's books, there is so much care, consideration, thought, love that has been put into each and every part of the creation process, between the writing, the sharing of the messages, the illustrations. It's not easy to do that. It's, again, especially when, someone is starting their author career for the first time. It's a matter of, again, you can be more in your head than your heart. You can ask yourself a lot of questions. You can doubt yourself. Do I have the right illustrator? Are these illustrations turning out the right way? There's a beautiful soul signature that you have in all of your books, Anna. Was there anything, because each of your books has that similar soul signature, but yet they're all uniquely different. Could you talk to us about why all of that was important to you on your end of things, so that each of your books they were reaching the children that they needed to reach, but they didn't seem like the same premise, the same book within the book?
So as you know, I work with a lot of kids, so I see different characters, right? As I worked through the years with different kids, I always remembered, the little ones who I work with and what was important to them. So it's either myself, representation of myself in the books, my own kids, the kids who I work with. There's something, that special child who, was afraid of the dark. That child was, really great artist, but was afraid to share her art with others, right? Or someone who didn't feel good enough about themselves. So my characters is someone who I personally came across, or some of my own personalities, some of my little personas as I was growing up, because I was a really shy kid and I had a lot of passions. I had a lot of interests, but I was not too brave. I was very shy to come forward and show those special things about me.
Well, talking about the fearless one, I think it's the apropos time to start diving into the pages here, Anna, is first of all, I can really relate to Emma in many respects. As I mentioned at the beginning of our Children's Book Spotlight series episode, Emma is afraid of the dark. And I remember I had one of those little night lights growing up, because like if all the lights were off, it was like, man, I didn't necessarily believe in the boogie monster, but some kids do. It's like, the boogie monster is going to come and he's going to take me away in the closet and things of that nature. And so she's a very gentle soul. She's very sensitive. She has her own, feelings and emotions, and she lands up meeting someone very special. And she already has someone special in her life. She has her gran. And again, this is, one of the themes, how always together in the Fearless One connect, is obviously, the importance of our grandmothers. But she's introduced to a very, very, very special person that has fairy-like energy that really helps her to remember that she's stronger than she realizes. Could you take us inside the pages of The Fearless One and why this book specifically is very important to you?
So as I mentioned, The Fearless One is a very special book to me because it's something that, when I was writing, I was thinking about myself. I was thinking about my oldest son who was always afraid of the dark, or maybe he thought that he's afraid of the dark. And a lot of my clients who come in and they don't want to sleep by themselves, they don't want to do certain things by themselves. So I wanted to show that, this is within yourself, this within your control to overcome these fears. As parents, as grandparents, teachers, we can help our kids a little bit, but in the end, they have to face their fears themselves. They really need to be there and know what to do when they feel a certain way. And in my books, I was trying to bring a lot of different types of therapeutic exercises and also therapies. So The Fearless One, it's based on cognitive behavioral therapy. The way you think affects the way you feel and affects your actions. So you can always change it and you can be in control.
And I feel that cognitive behavioral therapy, I know that speaking to my own story on Mind of Things in terms of, overcoming the challenges that I had experienced in my life in terms of the trauma that I had, I know that cognitive behavioral therapy, it can exist in different forms. A lot of times when you talk with a friend on the phone and you're kind of, asking them for, some advice, that's kind of like a form of cognitive behavioral therapy. And a lot of times I think our children just want to know that they're loved and cared for. They want to know that there's someone or someone's in their life that care about what it is that they have to say about something, even if it's just to say, hey, everything is going to be okay. And I really think that's there's so many benefits of cognitive behavioral therapy. The illustrations, just to go to this specific spread in the book, and I'm just going to share this specific passage if I may, and without giving the whole kit and caboodle away, there's a little bit of a mini presence in the book, and it goes, well, if she was good before, referring to the meanie, perhaps she could be good again. We just need to help her, Lily said. And of course, Lily is the fairy presence that's in Emma's life. And Emma agreed. Emma, Lily, and all the other flower children started to sing, dance, and laugh again. and you see this beautiful blue backdrop in the background, and they all have smiles on their faces. You've got the little musical notes. There's something that's very light about your books. And I think, let's be honest, over the past 2 years, and even before that, we've seen a lot of dark. There's been a lot of darkness in the world that has been taking the forefront. And I really feel that, and if you could share with us a little bit more from the lens of being a mother, a children's author, and a family therapist. One of the things we've talked about for years on the Children's Book Spotlight series is how children's books help little ones cope, heal, and to be able to connect with a deeper part of themselves so that they can express their emotions and their feelings. Why do you believe that children's books are important, specifically speaking to the aspect of bringing more lightness into the world, lightness into the minds and hearts of children?
I think reading is important, and we need to teach our kids from the young age to read and really use your imagination, right? Because when you read, you can be anyone you want to be, and you can go anywhere you want to go. And as a small child, I remember I loved reading. This is something that I would prefer over watching TV. I always read, and I was only a child, so it helped me to cope and, to have new friends in these books. And I want to, share the important message with my young readers. I want them to learn something, but I also want them to be the creative ones.
One of the primary messages, and I'm glad that you shared this too, because this is a perfect segue into my next question, is that I think many of us were taught growing up to fight our fears. And I feel that to get through to the other side, I think one of the expressions is the only way out is through. And our emotions, our feelings, our fears, and our insecurities are messengers. If anything, they're sharing with us a message. And once we learn what it is that those things are trying to tell us, we can move through to the other side. What would be one of the things that we really like to do on the Children's Book Spotlight series is to provide useful and supportive information, whether it be tips, tools, strategies for parents so that they can share with their little ones. For those little ones, especially around the holiday season, end of the year, they're moving through some sort of a fear or series of fears, whether it be small, medium, or large. What would you say to the parents who are watching here this week and beyond on the Children's Book Spotlight series to be able to let them know that their little ones have the abilities to be fearless? Being fearless sounds very daunting in this day and age because of the heaviness and the darkness. Like, how can you just wake up one day and be fearless, right? And just move through like you're a superhero and nothing is bothering you. What would you like to say to parents whose little ones who want to be fearless, but may be struggling quite a bit with emotions, feelings, vulnerability, insecurities, all of the above? What would you like to share with them?
Absolutely. So for parents, I would say you need to validate kids' feelings, right? It's easy to dismiss and say, well, you don't feel this way. No, you're not afraid of the dark. No, you can do this. But you need to first validate and normalize that it's okay to feel fear. It's okay to feel anger. It's okay to have emotions. And you're not alone in this. I feel angry sometimes, but I need to learn how to express my anger in a proper way, in a safe way, right? I feel fears, and it's normal. You just need to know how to overcome these fears. So first, you need to normalize, accept it, and validate the feelings. And for kids, it's important to set small, achievable goals. Actually, it's not even for kids, for anyone. Anything you want, you need to have a goal. So what is your goal? I want to feel better. I want to know what to do when I feel a certain way, right? So that's the overarching goal. And then how can we get there? So you need to set small goals, and you need to work towards those goals. And again, it's either, coming up with your own toolbox, right? What can I do? Can I, try different exercises? Do I figure out why I'm feeling this way, right? Do I need to go to a therapist? Do I, do mindfulness and meditation? Do I do like little exercises? For example, the quick one that I like to share with my clients is the 5 senses exercise, right? When you feel stressed, the quickest way to feel better and really distract yourself to use 5 senses. So You can use it at any point. So you can say like, okay, I need to find 5 things and name them that I see around myself. So you look around the room and you name 5 things that you see. Then you name 4 things you can touch and really touch them and feel them and think, if it's cold, if it's, smooth texture, really think about it. And then you need to pause and name 3 things you can smell. And then you can name 2 things you can hear and 1 thing you can taste. By the time you're done, you don't even think about things that you've been worried about.
I like that.
So you can do the same thing with colors. You can start 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with colors. Any colors. You can say like, okay, I need to find 5 things in blue, 4 things in red, 3 things in yellow, 2 things in green, 1 thing in white. And then by the time you're done, you feel much better. Another exercise that I like to share is breathing. Like it helps you to calm down when you're really, really stressed. You need to calm your breathing down, and it will help your heart rate and, calm yourself down. So the easiest one is your hand breathing, because you always have hands with yourself. So you need to breathe in, pause, breathe out, pause, breathe in, pause, breathe out, pause, and you follow one hand to another hand until you feel better.
I love that. There's one of the things, because I've seen a lot of family therapists who have taken care of children, a lot of psychotherapists. There's so many wonderful people, and each and every one of them are important in the lives of our children, because sometimes a little one does need to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist. There's different forms of therapy and healing for little ones. To be able to have those useful, practical strategies that children can implement, because little ones' minds and hearts, they're still developing. So they may, when us as adults, if someone says, hey, do this mindfulness thing, we might be able to grasp it, but a little one might not even know what mindfulness means, right? So to be able to share with them simple exercises. And in fact, one of my favorite parts of the Fearless one is at the very end of the book. And if I may share this, there's a passage that says, when I am worried or afraid, I can calm myself down. I think it's a very important affirmation, nonetheless. And then there's specific things that you share for children and with children, that you can count to 5 on my fingers when I breathe in, and again when I breathe out. I can give myself a hug, squeeze tight. I can drink a glass of water. I can talk to an adult. I can say the words to my favorite song. I think the phrase, I can, before we head into Always Together, I think it's important, that phrase, those 2 phrases, I am and I can, because it's very easy when we're in fear mode or when we're stressed out, whether it be as an adult or our children can say, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, and focus on the negative words, the things that they're not doing well. Could you share with us, from through the lens of a parent, the lens of your work as a family therapist, and in your work as a children's author, those 2 phrases, why they're essential, I am and I can, and to focus more so on that healthier, empowering mindset for our little ones as we head into the holidays and the beginning of the new year. Why are the both of those essential, do you feel?
It's simply the neuro-linguistic programming, because we program ourselves to be successful. We program ourselves to be fearless ones. And then when we keep telling ourselves, I can't do this, in the end, you will not be able to do this. But if you can remind yourself, of course I can do this. Who is awesome? I'm awesome. You start feeling this way and you start acting accordingly.
And this is where, again, there's so many different ways that we can go about doing this. And your children's books are helping so many children right now. So again, we encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, we can't forget our fellow shining stars, to head on over to Anna's official website, positiveparentinginitiative.com. If Amazon is your preferred online vehicle of your choice, then you can purchase your copies of The Fearless One and Always Together, which we're going to be talking about momentarily, in addition to the dozens of other award-winning books from Anna Svetchnikov for both children and for parents. In the process, you can leave 5-star reviews if you feel guided to do so, for The Fearless One, for Always Together. And also, we want to show some love for the Wish Away series. We had the opportunities to be able to dive into the pages of Wish Away and Wish Away Anger with one of our favorite neighbors, Laura Kavanaugh, the host and executive producer of San Diego Living, which is, of course, the official home of Empowering Reads for Kids, the official children's book review segment here at Empowered Publicity on Television, the opportunity to be able to share Wish Away and Wish Away Anger. We've included the link to that segment in the description below as well. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Wish Away and the Wish Away and Wish Away Anger, and how there were 8 different children from 8 different countries, and they wished on that same shining star, and their lives transformed in the process. I really love Always Together because it's one of the things that I really love, as I had shared in the Empowered Publicity Green Room, is the importance of remembering the bond that we have with our grandparents, especially our grandmothers. There's different books that we've had the blessing of sharing over the course of these past several years. So the book talks about, connecting with culture. It also talks about that. It talks about just so many magical different things in the process. And we're introduced to a little girl named Ely and her fox friend, Fennec. And Ely really cares about her grandmother, but she's going through her own challenge in the process. Could you take us inside the pages of Always Together and what children can experience when they read and they enjoy this wonderful book this holiday season and into the beginning of the new year?
Absolutely. So Ely and her friend Fennec, they able to overcome a lot of obstacles when they are together and they helping each other. And again, it could be anything. It could be, your favorite pet. I want to show kids that they are not alone, even when they feel they're alone. That's one message. And the second message, it's important to connect with your grandparents. And I was thinking to write this book because I do notice that it's totally different right now. Generational gap with kids and technology as well kind of gets into that gap. And you don't spend as much time with your grandparents. And COVID did not help because, during COVID, we're not able to see our elderly because we want to keep them safe. So I really noticed that there's, more of the disconnect with my kids and my mom than I had with my grandparents. I was very close with my grandparents, and I was able to learn and comfort wise. And, I loved hearing the stories about the elderly. And I feel like my kids are, more dismissive of that. They're not really interested. And I really wanted to promote that relationship and the importance of it.
It's a very healing story as well, too. And, not to give away the, any part of the book, but I feel that this kind of touches upon what I mentioned earlier in our interview, in our time together, is that children's books provide so much healing, and we actually see the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit of Ely's grandmother restored by the time that we get to the end of the book. I really love the different characters in Always Together. So my favorite illustration spread is almost at the very beginning of the book. And it's when we're introduced to the goddess of fortune, Africa. So at that moment, the goddess of fortune, Africa, was watching over the world as she always did. She saw Ely's love for her grandma and how fiercely determined she was. Africa vowed to help Ely in any way that she could. One of the other messages that I really love about Always Together is that I think maybe this is the case more for us as adults, but I think children can struggle with this as well too. There's many times we feel we're alone and that we have no support. And I think especially from where we are right now, leading into the holidays, leading into the beginning of the new year, the importance, why it's paramount to call in support, whether it's you're starting a new business and you need someone to help you design a brand new website, or if you're becoming a parent for the first time and you have never taken care of a little one, like, you'll bring people into your life, whether it be, friends of yours who have little ones, or maybe you'll talk to your mom, your dad, your grandparents to be able to help you out. For those adults specifically, but also for the little ones out there, could you speak to the heart of why it's needed for us to call in that support, to not just believe that we're supported, but to actually call that in? Because that's one of the things that we were able to see is that when Ely wanted to take care of her grandmother and she knew she wasn't feeling well and she was not in the best of health, she knew that she had the abilities within her to help her grandmother, but she knew that she couldn't do it alone at the same point in time. So could you share this a little bit more about that, if you could, the importance of calling in that support right now?
Absolutely. So, together we can do anything, right? If you're not alone, you can do way more things than if you're just doing this by yourself. And I feel like for a lot of people, the biggest part is to actually accept, sometimes call for support or accept that support. Because we all feel like, well, we're independent. I can do it. I don't think I need anything or anyone. But in reality, it's really simple. I mean, when you're supporting person as well, you're giving as well. So it's not that you're just taking when you're accepting support, but you're also helping another person to feel needed. So it's this symbiotic relationship in reality. It's not just take.
That really speaks to the heart of the giving and receiving, because it's I think that it's been said in the prayer of Saint Francis. It is in giving that we receive. And when we have the ability to help someone, to show them support, you notice how we always feel better about ourselves, whether it be if, you help an elderly person across the street, or maybe, someone who needs assistance bagging their groceries, or if there's a little one that, has a scrape on their knee and you got to put the Band-Aid and the Neosporin on it, you feel better in the process. And again, just I encourage every single person who is watching this Children's Book Spotlight Series episode. Anna's put her heart and soul into her work. The illustrations in your books are beautiful. And I think this is one of the things that kids are also going to really enjoy about your work is that sometimes with books, they serve a purpose. You read them one time, you put them back in the library, and that's that. It serves the purpose. But I feel that your books can be helpful for children, not only because they're very vibrant and colorful, not only because they have wonderful messages, but they speak to children at different points on their path. So I know, just like I've already read some of your books a couple of times, and I think that it's a good feeling for, children's authors as well in the process. But so we encourage all of you, again, our listeners and viewers, our fellow friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, to again, head on over to Anna's official website, positiveparentinginitiative.com. We've also included her social media platforms in the description below so that you can continue this wonderful conversation. Post Children's Book Spotlight Series. You can head on over to Amazon.com. You can purchase your copies of The Fearless One, always together, in addition to Anna's other award-winning children's books for both children and for parents in the process. And by leaving a 5-star review, again, bear in mind that is one of the many ways that you can show your support for Anna, to remind her that she is doing much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books. As we begin to wind down our time here, Anna, what you're doing for children goes beyond the scope of your work as a licensed family therapist. It goes beyond being an award-winning children's author. You also have a non-for-profit organization. And I think that whenever someone decides to, it's not even just connect with their philanthropic side, it's a matter of really giving back. And this is the time of the year when we really do our part to take stock of what that phrase means, giving back. For those who are learning about you and your work, and now your non-for-profit, could you tell us a little bit about your non-for-profit and why you wanted to start it, and your goals, your vision for how this is going to be helping to better the lives of children in the process leading into 2022 and beyond?
Absolutely. So my nonprofit started in 2016, and it's the part of the Longwood Care, the mental health organization. So we really want to educate, advocate for children, and support children. So there are different ways. Our first initiative was I'm Not Bad, giving children a voice, really let parents know why children misbehave. And after that, we created different platforms. So we created different groups, pro bono work for clients who cannot afford services to go into therapy. And right now, the new initiative is I Care, We All Care. It's the advocacy for mental health, and something I want to really bring forward and connect United States children, families, elderly to the services, mental health services.
I love that because there are so many children, and we had touched upon this briefly, but there's I think one of the older paradigms, and this again was the case for us as adults, like if we're struggling with something, let's just kind of, close up our heart. No one's going to help us. I'm going to take care of this on my own. Especially this holiday season, if you're going through some sort of anxiety, depression, if you feel that you're having a mental health challenge of any sort, there are people that are there to help. If you're seeing your little one struggle, there are people such as Anna that are here to help, that you don't have to carry the cross, so to speak, by yourself. Because I feel that, one of the things that I've been looking forward to for a long period of time on is that, us collectively over these past, 19, 20 months, we've gone through a lot. And I really think 2022 is going to be an exceptional year. And I feel that, we're going to all be we're doing our part to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. I feel that, through your work alone, you're bringing so much light and love and care into the minds and hearts of children, which I think is incredible, which leads us into the perfect ways that we always close out each children's book spotlight series episodes. One of our favorite neighbors, and I had mentioned his work to you before, and there was a wonderful gentleman who hosted a very popular children's television program by the name of Mr. Rogers. He hosted Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which aired for many years on PBS. And he had the opportunities to travel across the country to different colleges for commencement speeches and talks and things of that nature. Before he received, or I should say, while he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmys, he was well known for sharing this phrase. And he always kept the time on it, whether it be 5 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute. He encouraged all of us to remember those who helped love us into being. And that was his way of saying, there are people in our lives that some people will call them earth angels, right? People that come onto our path that help us remember how strong we are, how smart we are, how blessed we are, how gifted we are. Maybe there's times where we don't see it in ourselves. There's people, as the expression goes, they come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Who would be some of the people that you would like to publicly recognize on episode number 134 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, who have helped you, who have loved you into being, Anna Svetchnikov?
Well, I definitely want to highlight my mom and my husband. They've been through this whole thing with me, and they're the one who encouraged me and challenging me to be a better version of myself. And of course, my kids, because they're the one who testing my patience. But in the end of the day, I remember why I love them so much and why I had them, especially my youngest one, baby Apollo. Before we started the show, I found on the wall that he had some doodles on the wall again.
Aww.
After we just painted the walls, but still, he's just a baby, and I love him so much for that.
It's so important because it feels like you rely on them for support as well too. So there's probably days where you feel tired or frustrated or wondering, should I just continue doing this work that I'm doing, right? And then when you have the support of your little ones, your husband, your mom, it really has to be such a good feeling. One of the other ways that we like to close out our Children's Book Spotlight series episodes, Anna, one of my favorite movies, and this is a little, that was one tip of the cap to Mr. Rogers, but another tip of the cap that we like to have, back in 1992, many children and many adults remember the beloved Disney animated classic Aladdin. And of course, we remember the late Robin Williams, who played the genie of the lamp. And I feel that Aladdin and the energy, the message of Aladdin, it always has reminded us that we have the abilities within us to help our fellow neighbors and ourselves bring to form and shape our wishes, our dreams, our goals, our vision, and to bring this to life. So this is the segment that we like to call 3 Wishes. So this is a genie lamp, Anna, and you have given freely from your heart to children, to parents, to families all across the country, all around the world. So you are being given 3 wishes. Now they can be for yourself, they can be for your family, they can be for the children of the world. What would you like your 3 wishes to be, Anna?
So before I start with that, the fun fact that my all-time favorite cartoon was Aladdin. I always loved Aladdin.
I love
Not
that.
even the princess movies, but Aladdin. So the wishes I as I said, I always want to help everyone, right? So I really want kids around the country. It's not even, helping them to, feed them or, do anything like that, but really able to overcome and be independent themselves. Because, when you want to help someone, you don't give them, food. You don't give, I mean, you need to feed the kids, but you don't give them the fish, but you teach them how to fish. So I think it's important for kids to really learn what to do for themselves and how to be successful and happy adults. The second one I really want, so I started this campaign, Happy times 1 million. It's I want to collect 1 million happy things, joyful things from all around the world and share with others. So this is the campaign where I challenge everyone to come up with something that helps them to stay happy and be happy. And again, it doesn't have to be big. It can be something small. It can be maybe smelling the apple pie, thinking of Thanksgiving, looking at the photos of your children, putting the cherry chopstick on your lips, feeling the sun, or just having a positive thought. And the last one, I want to make sure that everyone have a happy holidays. I think it's important. I think this is the magical time. And I mean, as old as I am, I still believe in magic to some degree. So that's why all my books are so magical.
And I'm glad that you also touched upon that, because again, one of the great things about your books is that, if a little one is having a bad day and wondering, is magic possible? Are good things possible? And I think just that gentle, positive reinforcement that you have in all of your books, in The Fearless One and Always Together, in all of your books, I think that those messages are very much needed for children as well, too. And I have to smile because one of the things that I've always had in my office for the past several years is this. And it's interesting because it says, my belief about compassion is summed up by the old saying, give a man a fish and he eats for a day, teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime. And you were just talking about that as well, too. And I think that, as parents, caregivers, custodians of our little ones, like we are raising the next generation. And this is why I have so much hope and faith and trust for the children growing up, that they don't necessarily have to go through things maybe in the way in which we did, that there doesn't have to be as much pain and suffering and hurt in the world collectively and individually, but all we can do is our part. All you can do is put out the wonderful message that you're doing, and you're doing such an incredible job of that. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 135.
I always have fun. I try to have fun. That's the whole point, right?
Children's Book Spotlight Series. Anna has had fun today. I've had fun today. We hope that all of you, we see many smiles and many raised hands from the little ones on screen as well, too. We still have a few more wonderful episodes of the Children's Book Spotlight Series prior to the conclusion of the year. And there are so many exciting things that are happening behind the scenes that we look forward to sharing with all of you very, very, very soon. 2022 is going to be such an exciting year. So if you are a children's author and you would like to be able to share your inspiring story in the release of your brand new children's book, if you would like to become a featured guest on the Empowered Publicity Children's Book Spotlight Series, just as Anna joined us here this week, you can head on over to our official website, empoweredpublicity.com, or connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook and Instagram at Empowered Publicity, and Twitter at Empowered_PR. We also would like to give one tip of the cap, actually 2 tips of the cap, one to one of our favorite neighbors in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We know him and we love him as David Newell. David is going to be joining us into 2022. We're super excited about that, for all new episodes of the Empowered Publicity Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, where we have the opportunity to deliver heartfelt reviews from the latest new heartfelt children's books from the shining stars in the kidlit community here at Empowered Publicity. Little sneak peek, you can enjoy 2 more of Anna's brand new children's books exclusively on the December edition of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, available at empoweredpublicity.com and via our official YouTube channel at Empowered Publicity. So if you were a children's author and would like David and I to be able to share your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, You know where to connect with us. And also one tip of the cap to the aforementioned Laura Kavanaugh, the host and executive producer of San Diego Living, the official home of empowering reads for kids. We have had the opportunities now for nearly 1 year to be able to share such wonderful heart-centered children's books from some of our favorite shining stars in the kid-lit community of empowered publicity with children, parents, families, and educators. We have the opportunities to share the Wish Away series not that long ago. Again, that link is in the description below. If you are a children's author and would like Laura and I to be able to review your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Empowering Reads for Kids in 2022, so that we can share your message with children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books in America's finest city, that is San Diego, California, on the CW San Diego CBS 8. You know where to connect with us at empoweredpublicity.com or any of our social media platforms on screen. And if you feel that we can be of service to you in the brand new year of 2022, if you are launching and releasing your brand new children's book and would love to share your inspiring story, you can schedule your courtesy discovery call by heading on over to our official website, empoweredpublicity.com, and let us see how we can be of service to you to schedule your very own book and media tour, TV interview facilitation, or for more information on our media coaching and mentoring program. One more time, you can head on over to Anna's official website at positiveparentinginitiative.com. You can stay connected with her via any of her social media platforms that we've included in the description below as well, to keep this wonderful conversation moving and flowing post Children's Book Spotlight series. And of course, you can purchase your copies of The Fearless One and Always Together at Amazon.com as your preferred online vehicle of choice. You can head on over there. You can leave 5-star reviews for both Always Together and The Fearless One, or any of Anna's other award-winning children's books for children and for parents, and remind her that she is doing such wonderful and much needed work, again, for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books. And as we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of Empowered Publicity. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of the Children's Book Spotlight series over the course of these past 3 years plus. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of local libraries and children's bookstores, as they are the foundation, they are the pillars of our community. But before we officially conclude, let us give one final tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors, again, Mr. Rogers. He reminded us each and every day that I like you just the way that you are. His favorite numbers were 143. 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. That was his way of saying that I love you. And somehow, for his natural adult life, he weighed 143 pounds. So the little tip of the cap to Mr. Rogers, we like to share 243 here on the Children's Book Spotlight series. There's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. As Anna was very kind to give us some of her free time here this week, we are reminding all of you, our friends, our neighbors, our shining stars, our listeners and viewers, that you are loved, that you are special, that you are cared for, that you are perfect, you are whole, you are healthy, you are complete, that you are loved, you are special, just the way that you are, that we like you just the way that you are. And we are looking forward to many more magical trolley stops into December and beyond. So we hope that you have enjoyed episode number 134 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. If it's brought love and joy into your life, if it's brought healing into your heart, if you say, now, if anything, Anna, John, I no longer need to be afraid anymore. I have the abilities to be fearless, and so does my little one. I have the abilities to spend more quality time with my grandmother or with my grandfather, connect with different cultures, and truly remember that you really are special. You can subscribe, if you haven't had the opportunities to do so, to Empowered Publicity's official YouTube channel, and share this very special trolley stop that has been episode number 134 of the Children's Book Spotlight series on your favorite social media platforms of your choosing. So for Anna Svetchnikov, for myself, John Masalonis, thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood at Empowered Publicity and at the Children's Book Spotlight series. Thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.